Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Newbie Tank Series 2.0. If you've been following along, you already know this is my Red Sea S1000 and it's newly established. It just was set up with nitrifying bacteria and 3 small fish about 1 month ago. And that's pretty much where we're at. Now, if you joined me on the last episode, we're just going to pick up right from there. You may have noticed that we were talking about some brown stuff that started happening down here in the sand. Now, if you've ever started a new saltwater aquarium, you probably know about this already because it's very, very common when you're going through and establishing your first cycle and your tanks starting to grow up. It's going to experience some algae blooms, and in most cases a diatom bloom, where you'll get some of that little brown stuff in the sand. So I didn't panic when I saw it because I knew that's pretty normal. But what I did do is I got out my testers and I started testing my parameters right off the bat to see how things were going in there. And then I opened up my Hydros app where I log my parameters so that I keep record of them. Instead of writing them down, I've set it up inside my Hydros app. I'll show you later in this episode how to do that in case you're a Hydros person. It's a pretty cool function that they have doing a static input to log those things. But the first thing that I came across was that my alkalinity level that measured, I think, around 13 or something like that, didn't go into my app. My app only went up so high and it wouldn't accept that value because it was too high of a value. And I'm like, did I do something wrong? So I went ahead and I did the test again with my Hanna checker, got the same value. So that was cause for alarm. So I called up Mr. Saltwater Tank, got my good friend Mark on the line and asked him about that. I'm like, hey, this tested high. He goes, what? That seems pretty high. That doesn't seem right. He goes, test it again. I'm like, well, actually, I tested twice. He goes, really? Well, what tester are you using? I said, well, my Hanna alkalinity tester. He's like, how old is your reagent? The little chemical or whatever you put in there to measure. And I looked on the bottle and it was expired. Not only was it expired in 2023. This is 2025, so it had been some time. Not to worry. I'm like, oh, don't worry. I got a new bottle here. I'll open up this new bottle. So I started unwrapping the packaging, and then I noticed it expired in December of 2024. So I didn't have any reagents for this, so I needed to order them up. And then while I was doing that, I was putting in an order, and I thought, well, I do like these Hanna checkers. They're really easy to use. So I'm going to order my calcium and phosphate, some of the other ones that I didn't have of these. And when I did that, the boss at SaltwaterAquarium.com, Ken, he's like, hey, Jimmy, are you sure you want to order, all these, little Hanna checkers? He goes, you could get just one checker that does all of those things. And so, I went ahead and picked this up. Pretty hefty investment, but it has basically all the Hanna checkers. I think there's 9 different things that it will test. I still have to keep up to date with all of these reagents that you have to use. So you have to check that these don't expire. This kit tells you right on the front of the kit how new the kit is and how long the reagents are good till. And this kit is good till, let me turn it around. It's good for some time, 1 year from now. So 1 year from now, I'll have to get new reagents for it, but the tester will still be good and all the other little devices. But there's plenty of reagent in there that you can test quite frequently. I think there's at least 25 tests for each parameter. The other thing is me being a newbie, I don't really know what a lot of these things mean. I just see that they fall in what's expected, and a lot of times I just ask my Alexa, computer, what should be the range for my nitrates in my saltwater aquarium?
Here's something I found on the web. By many accounts, the The optimal amount of nitrate in any type of saltwater system is an immeasurable one, but an acceptable range for fish-only tanks is from 10 to 40 parts per million.
10 to 40 parts per million is what Alexa found on the internet. But I don't have to wait for Alexa to give me something that they found, because at saltwateraquarium.com, I got this little card here. It's not going to focus. Here, let me pull focus on it. Focus. Focus. This has all your parameters in its kind of optimal ranges. Now, some of these things will vary depending on your tank, what kind of corals you have, the environment you keep. Some people run some of these values a little bit higher based on what they have in their tank. So this is a good thing. These are free, by the way. Any order you do on saltwateraquarium.com, look in the freebies section. Let me put that up on the screen. So if you're on the website, go to the right here to this tab. There's a freebies section, and you can see the different freebies. And this one is just your target parameters for your aquarium. A good little reference card. So go ahead and throw one of those in your cart next time you order from saltwateraquarium.com. And then always check out what freebies you qualify for based on your purchase. Make sure you get your free stuff. So here we go. Got my tester here. Let's just jump right in and do some testing. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my first test here. I'm going to turn around so you can see this a little bit better. What's pretty cool is this little sticker right here shows you each test, and it's color coded. So if you're going to do, we're going to do the alkalinity test, since that's the one I messed up. I'm going to need this blue syringe, and I'm going to need this blue bottle of reagent right here. And so let's get out the tester and give this a go. It opens to this splash screen right here, and then it comes on, and it has tutorial mode, which is great because it walks you through the tests. You don't have to look at little cards and try to figure out. It's step by step. So, but before we do that, we're going to go in here to this little button, and we're going to select the alkalinity test. It wants me to hit continue in tutorial mode. It's already set up to alkalinity, but if you wanted to switch to a different test, you hit this button and you go to methods, and then just hit select. And here's all your different tests. You've got alkalinity, ammonia, calcium, magnesium, what else is on here? Nitrate, low range, nitrate, high range, nitrite, ultra low range, phosphate, ultra low range. So those are all the tests that you can do with the tester. So we're gonna go, and pH. So we're gonna go ahead and do alkalinity. I'll hit select here. Here's my alkalinity test, and I'm gonna go ahead and select measure. Now it tells me exactly what to do. It says fill the cuvette with 10 milliliters of sample. So sample water would be water right from my tank. So let's go ahead and get a cuvette out of here, and we'll fill it up to the 10 milliliter mark. And then it'll tell you right on here what the next step is. So now that it's filled up, I'm gonna hit next. And it tells me replace the cap, step 2 of 11, replace the cap and clean it. So now I'm gonna replace the cap. And then it comes with the little wiping towel. I'm gonna wipe it clean. Nice and clean. And then it says hit the next button. Now invert cuvette, check the notch alignment. So, oh, insert, not invert. And I couldn't read from that distance because my eyes are old. Let me clean this one more time. Inset. So there's a little notch right here. And this is really great because you line the notch up with the notch here, and it locks into place. So you can't mess this up. So once it's aligned with the notch, I'm gonna hit next. Hit the next button. And now it wants me to zero it out. So it's gonna get a 0 value. I'll hit the 0 button. I'm at 0 now. I'm on step 5 of 11. Now it's saying to hit the next button. Now remove the cuvette. I mean, it's step by step. This thing's awesome. Hit the next button. And then it says add 10 milliliters, actually 1 milliliter of HI772S. So remember, it's color coded right here. there's the blue. It says right on it alkalinity. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab that. Now here we'll note the expiration date. It's 9/26. So I've got a whole year for this one. So, and it says right on it, this is the alkalinity reagent. The numbers match what it says here on the device. I'm gonna check it to make sure. Yep, it's the right one. I'll put that aside. I'll grab the right syringe here. Now, I've already done this test a few times. These syringes come with this little cap on the end, and that's 0.1 milliliter. So when you pull it back, the plunger, you actually go to the marker, and there'll actually be an air bubble when you use this, because that's gonna fill up. I'm not gonna use this right now because for some reason, this particular reagent doesn't like to suck up into this correctly. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this reagent for my alkalinity. I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 milliliter. This measures in 0.1. That's exactly 1 milliliter. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 1 milliliter into this water from my tank. There's the 1 milliliter. And I'll hit next. Replace the cap and invert 5 times. And it gives you a little display right here. We'll show you that display. It says replace the cap, invert 5 times to mix it. And I'm on step 8 of 11. Then I'll hit next. And it tells me to wipe it clean again so we can take a reading. Hit next. Find that notch again in the cap. Line it up. Hit next. And now it says, do I want to read it? So I'm going to hit the read button. And this will give me my alkalinity reading. It's 7.6 DKH. So that's how simple it is to do a test with this test kit. And they all kind of work the same. You just follow the tutorial right there on the screen. And some of them have a countdown for how long it needs to be in there to read it. This one reads it right away. But you can see how simple it is. And the next thing I'm going to show you right here on the tester is that you have logs here as well. So we're going to go down here, and you can see there's a calibration, there's a log recall. So I'll go down to the logs, and I'll hit the select button. And here's all of my measurements. So you can see the different measurements that I've taken. I just did this test before I videoed it. I got the same reading, so I know it's the same, 7.6 DKH. And I can go ahead and scroll through all the different tests that I've done. And it tells me over here what they are: my calcium, my magnesium, NH3, NO3, they're all right there. And then the other cool thing is I can send these to the Hanna app on my smartphone, and I'll show you a quick little screenshot of that because I've already done that. Send them to my smartphone. That way I can send that screenshot to Mr. Saltwater Tank when I don't know what the heck's going on. But I can also go ahead and reference my little card I showed you earlier that has me shows me what my safe ranges are. So right now, 7.6 alkalinity. It says for a fish-only tank, I should be between 8 and 12. So I'm right in there. So alkalinity is not an issue in this tank, but I definitely have an issue with this brown algae. So I'm gonna go ahead and check all of my parameters here and see where my tank's at. But you know, then I'm gonna go ahead and do a water change as well, and then we'll retest. So this thing, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But it just makes life easier than shuffling through that box of all your testers, looking for the right reagents. It's all organized. I even like that it has a scissors. Not that it's a big deal to have your own scissors, but it's saved right there in the case to cut open your reagents. It's awesome. I would highly recommend this because honestly, you want all of these test kits anyway. You want to know all of this information. So why buy each individual one when you can buy it in a kit like this? I should have done this from day one. I'd be more likely to test because now I can crank through these things. It's right here. And then the tutorials, man, that just makes it easier. So that's the Hanna tester. You can check it out for yourself. But yeah, this thing's great, huh? Awesome. Okay, so now what I want to do is do my first water change. This tank hasn't ever had one. It's got about a month with fish in there. And you can see I've got all this brown crud in there. And sadly, it's not just a diatom bloom. Mr. Saltwater Tank asked me if it had bubbles underneath it last time, if you remember. And it indeed does, and got a crust over it. And so that tells me that it's not just diatoms, it's dinos or dino flatulates, which is another algae that is not good. The bad thing is some of this stuff is toxic. So it has me a little concerned putting my hand down in there, cleaning it. The key here is you don't want to have any open cuts on your hands or anything like that, because some of this stuff can be very, very bad for your health if you get this in your skin or in your body. So I'm going to go ahead and vacuum it out with my vacuum and do a water change here. Now, one other thing that I did is I turned my lights out and I brought the temperature up in my tank. Actually, I was out with my dogs doing agility while I text Mr. Saltwater Tank, and we were texting about this, and he's like, yeah, bring the temperature up in your tank to about 81 degrees. I usually keep it at 77. So right there on my app while I was out on the field, I raised the temperature in my tank up, and now I'm gradually bringing it up to 81 degrees. And that's supposed to help kill off these dinos. So I've got the Control All app open here from Seashay, and I'm gonna scan my heaters. With this NFC technology, you just tap your phone, but my heaters are down in the water, but I'm just gonna, my iPhone can go underwater, so I'm just gonna stick it down there. And it's scanned, get the water off there, and I can change the temperature. Oh, wrong one. I already changed the temperature in that one. Oh, it did change. So I've changed it to 81, scan in progress. And scan in progress, modify temperature, save, yes. Temperature changed. And then the other thing that I did was I added 4 bottles of the Apex copepods from Reef Nutrition. So those I put right down in the rocks. That's something we talked about on the last episode, and hopefully they'll eat some of these competing algae in here, and we'll solve this. Now, if this doesn't take care of it, doing a few water changes, lights out, temperature up, there's a few more things you can do, and we'll cover that on a future episode if I indeed need to do that. I know you want to know those hints, because if you've ever experienced dinos, it's kind of a drag. It's very unsightly and it's not good for your tank. So let's go ahead and do a water change here and get all this brown crud out of here as much as we can. So the first thing I did was open up my Hydros app and put my tank into water change mode. And then I did the same on my Reef Beat app. Once all my pumps were off, I started vacuuming up the nasty brown stuff. Now the vacuum was having a hard time sucking it up through the tube, so I actually just put my hand in there and grabbed a bunch of it right off the surface. I even got out my fish net and scraped it along the surface of the sand, and that helped get some of the crud out of the sand. I even got out my toothbrush and cleaned the surface of the rocks quite a bit. Now I didn't get too crazy with it because I didn't want to completely clean my tank of all of the algae in there, because I don't know what is competing to balance out a good ecosystem in here as my tank is still maturing. All right, it's looking good again now that I got all that brown crap off the bottom of the tank. Now it's time to get out my trusty test kit, go and check all my parameters once again and see where we're at. Now before I let you go this week, I do want to share what I told you I would in the beginning of this episode, and that's how to set a static input to graph all your parameters inside your Hydros app if you've got a Hydros controller. So I've got the app open right here, and I'm just going to show you how to do this. So you want to go in the upper right hand corner, hit the three little dots on your inputs, and down on the bottom you want to add an input. Now the input you're adding here, you're not doing a sensor or anything like that. So we're going to name this alkalinity. And since I already have alkalinity on there, I'm going to call it alkalinity 1 and hit create. And then what type is it? And it's not a sense port. It's actually down here, the static input. So select static input, and these are the types of static inputs you can do and the units of measurement. We're going to measure alkalinity. So if you can select like your nitrate and ppm, but here it's already got a preset for alkalinity. So I'm going to hit the alkalinity, and you see here it's got a safe range and a graph value already set for you for that particular parameter. And then all you do is you upload your changes, and then that will give you a static input in your inputs. Now static just means there's nothing telling it what the input is. You have to physically go in and type in the number after you use your tester. So let's go back out to your status screen, and there's my new one, alkalinity 1, and you can see it's already got an alkalinity little icon since we chose alkalinity. But another cool thing is you can change those icons. Just go back into that, hit the little pencil up here, and you can click on it and choose all these different icons that are on here. And you can even search up here, and we're going to search for alkalinity. There it is, alkalinity. That's the icon we want. Whoops. Alkalinity, and hit OK, upload our changes. That's all there is to it. Now the other thing is if you want to go back and see these parameters, what you want to do from your status screen is switch from your tile view into graph view. So in those three little dots again, go up here to graph view, and once you have many of these data points saved, it'll actually graph them for you. Now remember, we just raised the temperature in my tank, so you can see it graphed here that it's going up, and we'll do the same with other data points. A very cool way to see trends that are going on in your tank and keep them right here in one place, right in your Hydros app. That's where we're at this point with this tank. I hope the dinos aren't too bad and I don't have to do too much more to solve this issue. But this is the point where I say thank you so much for staying this long, watching this video, and where I want you to do all that YouTube stuff. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then please leave a comment, and then we'll see you on the next one.